This is absolutely incredible. Jeff Bezos, the owner of the ultra-left-wing propaganda outlet, The Washington Post, has just posted on X a note he shared with the whole of the Post staff this morning, telling them in no uncertain terms that the paper's opinion pages will now be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. Anything contradicting those two radically non-woke pillars will be excluded from the paper. Bezos explained, quote, "There was a time when a newspaper, especially one that was a local monopoly, might have seen it as a service to bring to the reader's doorstep every morning a broad-based opinion section that sought to cover all views. Today, the internet does that job. I am of America and for America, and proud to be so. Our country did not get here by being typical, and a big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom is ethical. It minimizes coercion and practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity." And this change, this siding with freedom, has already resulted in the Post's first resignation and protest. And that's none other than the Washington Post ultra-leftist opinion editor, David Shipley. He is now officially gone in protest of the paper moving to the side of liberty and freedom. Bezos' announcement got a big shout out from Elon Musk, who retweeted it with a bravo. And everyone is noticing the not so subtle pivot away from the woke left by Bezos. And no one is noticing that pivot more than the woke left itself. The reaction to this is just priceless to behold. You got to butter your popcorn and soak in these liberal tears. Before we do, remember, time is running out to register for our special America's Golden Age Summit. It's this Thursday, February 27th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss it. I got an incredible lineup of guests ready to show you exactly how to prosper in America's new golden age, from building wealth and getting healthy to thriving in the patriot economy. And here's the deal. Register today for $10 with promo code GoldenAge25 and get a free extra ticket to give away, plus loads of free bonuses, including 3 months of Courageous Conservatives Club membership. Time is running out, so don't wait. Secure your spot now at the link below. All right, so the ultra-leftist Post columnist Philip Bump responded to Bezos' announcement. What the actual F? What the actual F? I guess it took him by surprise. The paper's chief economics reporter, Jeff Stein, called the announcement a, quote, "makes clear dissenting views will not be published or tolerated." Yeah, you mean like what you woke leftists at the Washington Post have been doing for years now? Jennifer Rubin, the now disgraced former Post columnist who quit in protest last month, responded with, "Musk, Trump, destroy the Washington Post." Maybe it's more like trying to save it. And Jeffrey Evan Gold of CNN declared that this move was, quote, "the last straw." Now, of course, as Evan Gold just alluded to this is not the first time Bezos has cracked down on the ultra-woke lunatics that have been running the asylum of the Washington Post of late. You may remember back during the election, you had a bit of a civil war break out from within the Post when Bezos refused to allow the paper's far-left editorial board to endorse Kamala. He obviously read the writing on the wall far better than they did. He knew Trump was going to win this election in a landslide, and he wanted to position the paper optimally in a new Trump era. And that, of course, erupted into a full-blown civil war with the staff and newsroom demanding that the paper endorse Kamala Harris. A number of writers, editors, board members resigned in protest. NPR reported that the Washington Post got rocked with a tidal wave of cancellations from their ultra-woke digital subscribers since Bezos stood in the way of the paper's endorsement and reported 200,000 wokey wokes canceled their subscriptions, and near 10% of the paper's paid circulation, 2.5 million subscribers. Pretty substantial for sure. But Bezos seems to see it as all part of the paper's, shall we say, necessary healing, because it's been failing now for years. It's no secret that the Washington Post has been struggling, as virtually all the legacy media has, but particularly the Post. According to the global news platform Semaphore, the Post's web traffic has cratered from 22.5 million daily users in 2021 to barely 3 million today. Let that hit you, from 22.5 million daily users to now just 3 million. The Post has lost literally 90% of its daily traffic. Actually, things are so bad that, according to a report by Washington City paper, the Post has reportedly stopped publicly disclosing its traffic numbers and press releases because the decline is so horrific. And this is back when the decline had hit just 60%. It's got even worse since, according to the report from Semaphore. And then, to make matters worse, the Wall Street Journal just reported a few weeks back that the Post's revenue fell from $190 million in 2023 to $174 million last year. So the paper is clearly hemorrhaging. It's in decline. And Jeff Bezos, he himself has a very definite opinion as to why. In October of last year, it was actually just a week before the election, he published an op-ed in the Post with the provocative title, "The Hard Truth: Americans Don't Trust the News Media Anymore." The hard truth: Americans don't trust the news media. And that was provocative in that he was saying this openly to members of the legacy media. Nobody trusts you anymore. That is why we are dying. That's the owner of the Washington Post admitting Americans do not trust the legacy news media anymore. And Bezos cited the latest Gallup poll at the time. It just came out the week prior in mid-October, showing that media confidence had reached its lowest point ever. And he wrote, quote, "Most people believe the media is biased." Yeah, duh. "Anyone who doesn't see this is paying scant attention to reality, and those who fight reality lose. Reality is an undefeated champion. It would be easy to blame others for our long and continuing fall in credibility and therefore decline in impact, but a victim mentality will not help. Complaining is not a strategy. We must work harder to control what we can control to increase our credibility." And Bezos announced that he wanted the Washington Post to hire more pro-Trump and pro-conservative writers and reporters. That was back in October, and here we are. Bezos is now announcing, as of today, that the Washington Post is going full freedom. It's going full personal liberty, which of course is the exact opposite of wokeness, and it's going full free market capitalism, which is the exact opposite of progressive socialism. I mean, is this the golden age or what? And this move by Bezos, it reminded me of something that Instapundit's Glenn Reynolds wrote back in December, just a few weeks after the election, where he developed this notion of what he called a preference cascade. It was a brilliant article where he compares what's happening here in the United States since the election to what happened in Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And here's what he writes. This is very good. Quote, "What happened? It's like a spell broke. Since November's election or re-election of President Donald Trump, the woke is going away and all sorts of problems are resolving themselves. But why? Well, like us, Soviet citizens knew their system was founded on lies too, but the system kept them isolated, unaware that so many of their fellow citizens felt the same way and unable to come together to act. This technique, used by totalitarians of all sorts, is called preference falsification, in which people are forced to profess belief in things that they know not to be true. If the powers that be are good at it, virtually every citizen can hate them and want them out, but no one will do anything because every citizen who feels that way thinks they're the only one, or one of a tiny number. This works until something breaks the spell and the discontented realize that their feelings are widely shared, at which point the collapse of the regime may seem very sudden to outside observers or even to the citizens themselves. One scholar calls this sudden change a preference cascade, and I believe that's what's happening here. In America, the left spent years bullying people into accepting woke ideas on race, gender, and politics. There's considerable reason to believe that a majority of Americans never accepted these ideas, but between constant media repetition and the risk of being mobbed and canceled if you disagreed with them, most people for years were afraid to stand up. But two things put a stop to that. One was Donald Trump's election. The other, and the two are related, was Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter, now X, which is now a free speech platform with roughly equal representation of Democrats and Republicans. Both had the effect of blowing up the lefty bubble and letting people realize that they, not the woke, were the actual majority. And I think that's a brilliant observation. I think Glenn Reynolds is absolutely right. In these last several weeks, we've been experiencing a preference cascade where a clear supermajority who believe in secure borders, who believe in mass deportations, who believe in ridding our federal government of waste, fraud, and abuse, who believe that our government should live within its means, and it certainly shall not be spending billions of dollars on woke nonsense either here or abroad, who believe that there are only two genders and that men shouldn't be competing in women's sports. That supermajority has finally broken free of its woke ideological and administrative constraints. And now the whole world seems to be course correcting. Nature is healing itself, and the world can go back to being normal. Over the last several years, the ultra-woke Washington Post lectured us every day with its absurd, self-aggrandizing motto, "Democracy dies in darkness." And then they proceeded to impose upon us woke propaganda every single day. It now appears, in a wonderfully ironic twist, that when that darkness was dispelled and light truly came to the Washington Post, the only thing that died was wokeness itself. By the way, click on the link in the description below to get all these articles and tweets I reference throughout my videos emailed to you each and every day. You're going to love it. We want you to have the best resources out there to convince your family and your friends of this new MAGA super age that's rising here.